Let me
If I
know.
fall over, then
Oh, no.
that'll be the answer whether it likes me.
Let me know when we are ready to get started.
Whenever you guys are ready. We're ready for you.
We got we got watchers going on now. Yeah, can you see us? What about audio? Can you hear us? Can somebody let us know?
Give us a thumbs up.
Whoever's logged in.
How many watches we got?
So far we are at 10.
All
nice.
right. Okay. Well, that is the official number. So let's get started. All right. Well, hello everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Trail Tuesday. We are here today with Sean Finegan, and we are going to talk about a lot of things, a lot of little things. So, first off, I want to say, don't forget it's race week, and if you're signed up for LA, I don't think you can forget right now. You're probably pacing back and forth. So everybody, I hope everybody's doing well. Everybody's ready. Everybody's thinking about their strategy, visualizing the race, visualizing the finish, all those little things. A lot of people actually messaged us this week asking for quick tips and all that. So we've been putting little simple quick tips together. We put some on yesterday. We'll put a couple more today, a couple more tomorrow. Quick, simple things. Nothing specific, because a lot of those things you probably already covered them during your training. So just for those first timers that are asking us a lot of questions, oh, what about this, what about that? So just a couple little quick, simple things. I believe we have some other announcements. What else do we have going on, Tony?
So we just want to let everyone know that we will be at mile 25 of LA Marathon. We will have Shenny and Corey there, and whoever else wants to hang out with us there, cheering, giving hugs and high fives, and helping you make that last push towards the finish line.
Kicking you to the finish.
I will likely be out there as well, cheering and running and on my bike and taking photos. So if you see me, say hi.
All right. I believe that's it, right? And we still have a couple of hats left. We had 4, but we already sold 1, so now we're down to the last 3 hats. So we still have 3 more hats. We have 2 beige and 1 red. So if you guys want to get a second hat, or if somebody missed out getting one, don't worry, just message us and we'll let you know how to go about it. All right, don't forget the hats are our way of raising funds for the runs, so we can bring snacks, we can bring you guys water, little things here and there that we need. A lot of people ask, do you guys do a fee for, the runs for a club? And we're staying away from that. So we're just trying to do the most we can on our own. So that is what the hats are for. And a lot of people keep asking about shirts. That's going to be our next campaign. So, but we wanted to first get through the anniversary run and the hats. And now we're going to move on to shirts. A lot of people keep asking for shirts. So that's going to be next. So thank you to everybody that bought a hat. Thank you to everybody again that came to the anniversary run on Sunday, 2 weeks ago. And thank you to everybody that just donated, donated without even buying a hat. They just decided, I'm going to donate and help out. Everybody that came, everybody that brought a lot of different things. So it was very overwhelming. It was all a work of love, and thank you so much. Thank you to everybody. Okay, so that's it for the announcement. So we are here with Sean Finegan. And Sean, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm originally from back east. I was transferred here from the military out west many years ago, and spent the last decade running. Started out as a road runner.
Nice.
And then about 5 years ago, did a little race up in the Tusher Mountains up in Utah. It was my first trail experience with Ultra Adventures, which is tied in with vacation races.
Nice. What distance was that?
That was a That was an ultra half marathon because I didn't know what I was doing at the time, and I didn't realize what I signed up for. And after all the suffering was done, I realized that this is where I belong. And I became, I transitioned quickly over to trails and never looked back. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's very typical story around this community. You know,
Yes, it is.
we start running on the road and doing a little bit here and there. Then all of a sudden, like somebody will introduce us to a trail or just go on their own, and then all of a sudden, just like it's like a big eye opener.
That's
right?
it. Yeah, it's
like,
a completely different
it's
environment.
It's a completely different world.
Yep.
Way more enjoyable. Way
It's a different
quieter.
suffering.
Yes, completely. Just a whole different world. So yeah, well, that's great, and that is actually the subject we have for today, which is transitioning from road to trail. And sometimes people are not necessarily road runners. Maybe they just hike and they never ran, but they want to start doing a little bit of running. So that's what we're gonna talk about today, amongst other things. So, from what your experience is, what are the two most common mistakes that you see runners make when attempting to do the change from road to trail?
The two mistakes would be the fundamentals of running are the same. So form, breathing techniques, all the fundamentals are basically the same. Running is running. However, if you're not in tune with the realization that terrain is different, right? So running on a trail that could be significantly more challenging than a road. If you're not expecting to run amongst, to go from Los Angeles Avenue here to Rocky Peak is significantly different, right? Because of the rocky terrain, the rooty terrain, and the climbs. Right, so that's the one big thing is forgetting that there is a big difference between just the terrain and the environment that you're running in. And then another mistake, there's so many good things that runners do bring. So it's I don't want to hone too much on what errors are being made because
that's actually what I was going to ask you. Like, what do you see on the opposite side?
Right,
Like,
and there's a ton more, right?
Things,
And this is mostly my experience as well. I made that error when I first transitioned over. And I think we all, that's the majority of the error, right? Is just not realizing that I didn't think the hill was that bad. And
absolutely.
And not having the right simple gear. And that's all stuff that could be easily corrected. And I think, when you make an error like that, doesn't ruin anything. It just makes you a little bit smarter the next run, and you keep going. As long as you have an open and growth mindset to learning.
That's the main thing. Being open-minded and
but there's so many other positive things that runners do bring. The same community feeling, right? The same desire to be a part of something. That's something that road runners and trail runners they both share, right? And runners in general, instead of just talking about the separation between the two. But and all of the quote unquote errors that are made are nothing big, other than the one thing I do see, and it's not just from road runners, it's from anybody who's out on the trail, is for awareness and your responsibility to your environment. So as runners, and I still continue to train on the road. I include road running in my training. So there's a big difference between every corner there's a trash bin that you can just unload the stuff that you don't need anymore, as opposed to learning how to carry it in and out. So
which is a big thing.
It is. There's nobody out there. Your moms and dads are not out there anymore cleaning up after you.
Absolutely, and that's one thing that we're actually pretty big on promoting. We always make sure, okay, guys, we're gonna leave the trail or whatever side we went to cleaner than what we found it. We got to do our part,
right?
Because just like you said, you're not gonna find the sweeper going by, right?
That's right. Yeah.
It's not gonna go picking up all the
your
stuff
weekend run doesn't include a sweeper, a safety sweep. And that's a responsibility that all runners have, and not just runners, hikers, anyone who's enjoying the outside and is enjoying the trails. We have a responsibility to that. environment that we're in.
Yeah.
And I promote that from young kids all the way up, and I want to be held accountable as well if something is dropped. Even whether you did it or not, pick it up and contribute.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like leading by example, because like for example, every time we have a training run, we always make sure we show everybody at the end, hey, look, this is everything I picked up on the way here, and just empty our pockets, and that just kind of sets the mindset, right?
That's right.
Someone like, okay, next time, it won't kill your pace.
It will
won't
not
kill your run if you just like stop 10 seconds, pick something up, and that's it. Stick it in your pack. That's it.
Yeah.
I just have a rule. As long as it's not full of any
As
undesirable
long as I don't have to go to the hospital afterwards, I'm picking it up.
Yeah, that's all. But usually what I do is whenever I have my pack, I just carry like a doggy bag. Just to put everything all together and just throw it away. Yeah. Well, one of the biggest things that I guess mistake that I used to do was not allowing myself enough time. Like, I will think, 5 miles, it takes me about, an hour from start to by the time I'm taking my shoes off, so, I have an hour to do 5 miles.
Right.
On the road. Like,
on the road.
Right out of my front door.
Right.
But,
with like 34 feet of gain on the road.
Yes.
As opposed to 1,500.
Yeah, exactly. Trail, I think that's one of the biggest things that we tend to forget in the beginning. It's like, it's 5 miles, but those 5 miles can take you twice as long depending on where you go.
Right, right. So, and learning, and also learning, there's a host of things you can learn from, right? When to shut the phone off, when to leave your watch at home. Yes. And I think that comes over time. A lot could be said about don't over-prepare. I think it takes a lot of experience to not be over-prepared, and you can find there's a YouTube video where it explains all. It was a parody about these the evolution of trail runners. Like, so you start out with water bottles, and then you get a vest, and then the vest gets bigger, and then it gets bigger, and then it gets bigger, and then it goes in reverse, and then it goes smaller and smaller.
That's kind of where I'm in between. In between.
And by the time you got years of experience, you're back to water bottles again.
Just simple.
But I think that curve is necessary for everyone to go through.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you can't be faulted for it. And the responsibility we have is to let people do that, right? To let people figure it out for themselves.
What it is that works for them.
That's right.
That's another thing. It's everybody's different. Whatever works for Tony might not work for me, or the other way around, or for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's different. So sometimes I see people carrying like half their closet, for a race,
right?
And I'm
like. Do I say something?
I'm like, I used to do the same thing. Right. I'm like, I used to do the same thing, and my shoulders were like sore, for 3 days after the race. And now I'm trying to minimize all those things, but I think that's one thing that we kind of tend to over prepare sometimes. But I think as we get more comfortable, we kind of see, I need this, I need that.
I think it's a story that we tell ourselves in the very beginning, right? That
like,
for a road run, I can just go to Starbucks every 6 miles or something like that. I can circle around back to my house. But if I look at a trail, or I go up to the Santa Gabriels, I need to be packed and ready for 40 days, and that's not necessarily the case. And I think that happens you get better at that only with experience. So, if you have to pack the bag or your vest really well, and you're over prepared, that's fine. There's absolutely nothing. You've got to get used to being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean overpack. Sometimes that means at some point you'll learn how to underpack. Sometimes you've got to get used to figuring out I will be okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a curve to that, and everyone has to learn.
Yeah. So. And also at the other side of that, at the other end of the spectrum, also sometimes we don't do enough research about a new trail or a new place, and we under-prepare.
Yeah.
We had personal situations that we ended up getting caught in a mountain for extra 2-3 hours, more than what we expected.
Right.
And luckily, we had lights, and we had an extra layer and stuff like that. So a lot of times, I think that's one thing that we can miss, going from road to trail. that maybe we don't do enough research going to new places. Like, okay, let me see, because now, you know, we talk about all the tools all the time. All the tools are available now, like Strava, Garmin,
all
whatever,
trails,
right?
everything,
you can go
right?
check, right? You
Yeah.
can ask people, you can ask online. You can input a hashtag in any form of social media and find a
Right.
lot of different information related to that. And I think that's one thing that, yeah, sometimes we kind of tend to miss. Just doing a little bit of research before
It goes a long way.
going to a new place,
Yeah.
right? Not just for a race, but but just on your own,
Just for
You know,
training, just to
yeah.
experience.
I think
Just-
I think probably more important just when you go on your own than when you go
Oh,
to
absolutely.
a race. 'Cause a race, you're gonna have a lot of people around.
There's
you
going to be
know,
a lot of resources, but when you're on your own, yeah.
that's when you really want to.
And that's where you have to learn how to look for the right resources, how to look for the right information, and then to let other people know. So on a road run, typically, there's another little, I guess, a little gap between road and trail. On a road run, typically, you don't have to tell someone you're going out for a 3-mile run or a 10-mile run.
Yes.
But when you're going on a trail, it really is, honestly, if it's just around the corner from your house, but you're going out for a few hours, always best to just say something. Let your community know where you're going. Just because if you twist an ankle, a 3-mile run could turn into a very, very long day, and it's just not. It's not funny.
No, it's not.
It's just not.
Yeah,
It's,
and unfortunately, you hear stories, right? You hear stories like recently there were a few cases when it got snowed in and all those things up here, Mount Baldy and all this stuff. I mean, you know,
It doesn't take a lot.
exactly,
It really doesn't. It's
exactly.
sometimes it's a
Like,
twisted
things
ankle.
Can
It's,
go south quick.
yeah,
you know?
and it's not a big
Yeah.
thing. You know, a rolled ankle on a technical run could really just wreck your day.
Oh yeah.
And so a little bit of research goes a long way. And
Yeah.
then as you grow and develop, just manage the story that you're telling yourself. Don't think something's bigger than it really is. Think about what you want to achieve, why you want to achieve it, and then just do the appropriate amount of research to get you there.
Exactly.
And then honestly, make a ton of errors along the way and learn from them. And then just keep going back. Action, action, action. Make an error, figure out what happened, and then action, action, action. Make the adjustments along the way. So,
Excellent. And well, with that said, I guess my next question will be, if I am doing, let's say, a half marathon or a 10K, you know, out on the trails, and now I'm like, okay, you know, I think I want to step up a little bit. You know, what's the best advice, I guess, or what do you think you will tell somebody to say, hey, you know what, Shauna, I just did a 30K, for example. I think I'm gonna do a 50K. What do you think, Sean? Am I ready? What do you think? So what will you say? Which way will you point him in that situation? If somebody did a 30K and like, you know what, I think I want to do a 50K. I finished well. I could have done the 50K if I wanted to, or 50 miler.
Yeah.
So what are some tips that you can tell us? Just to kind of decide, okay, is this something I really want to get into? Or,
so the first thing I is to let the person know that's awesome. Honestly, like it's, to me, there's nothing better than to have a runner say, you know, that was a great experience. Even if they were whether they were the first person, last person, it doesn't matter. But if they get to the end of whether it's a training run or race or whatever it is, and they say, you know what, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Is just to ask them, you know, can you tell me more about why you want to do that?
Yeah.
Because what is it exciting about what you just experienced that makes you want to go a little bit further? And then basically when hopefully it's positive, right? Because they're not going to want to do it if it's negative unless they love suffering.
Exactly.
Wait for the 100 milers.
Exactly. Which some of us.
That suffering will happen eventually. And then just hone in on that. Ask them why and encourage them through that conversation to say, hey, not to justify why you want to go further. Just tell me what excites you about what you experienced, because even something like from a 30K to a 50K, it's a different race.
Oh,
You're talking 18 miles to 31 miles. However, if they're feeling really good about that 18 miles, they have to know that you can get to that 50K, and then ask them, what can I do to partner with you to help you through that? Because there's nothing that it speaks volumes to be able to have someone say, you know, I want to partner with you to help you through this. Because if you want to succeed in this, let's go. And then let them know realistically what it takes, right? So it's not just about, just run further. It's what are you doing between 30K is a fairly long distance, right? I mean, that's a good long training run, right? That's not, hey, I'm just going to wake up on a Saturday and just run 18.
Jump out of bed. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to build up to it.
You have to build up to it. So they already know
also,
a lot.
But depending on the route too.
Depending on so if you go for a 50K,
yes.
Leona Divide is not the same thing as doing laps around Hanson Dam.
Exactly.
So talking with them about how do your long runs look? How does your training look through the week? Are you considering nutrition? Are you considering all of the fundamentals and then the entire picture? Because that's where I'd gotten things plenty wrong. Was I didn't look at all the support that I needed in order to succeed in my distance build-up. If I just run longer mileage, I should be able to accomplish this. Instead of thinking, I have to do my balance training, I have to do strength training, I have to do my intervals, I have to do my hill training. And then just being able to talk to somebody with those things in mind and just say, well, these are the considerations to have, and then know that it's fantastic to go from 30K to 50K. Just think about what length of time you want to put into your training to make that a successful race. Because if someone comes up to me in like the 1st of March and says, hey, I just ran my first 30K, you think I can go do a 50K at the end of March? I'm going to ask a couple of more questions, right? Like, how much time do you have to dedicate? Because that's a fairly decent gap. Yeah, and you can achieve it, but how sore do you want to be?
Exactly, that's the thing, it's different. Yeah, it's different being able to just get through a race than actually feeling good about it and strong, right?
That's right. Yeah. Because because your training isn't getting through the race. I always evaluate how well did you train when I can talk to you about, what do you look like a week after the race? Are you still walking like a cowboy? Are you really sore? Like beyond the normal soreness. What's your level of discomfort? Even the same day or the day after that kind of long distance, do you want to keep running? So there's so many different elements, but definitely stay encouraging and helping somebody along the way. Let them know that there's resources beyond the internet.
And also the mental aspect, right? Because again, for example, 50K, right? You might think, okay, I have it down, I have a master. Oh yeah, I want to move to the 50 mile. But those 20 miles, I mean, that can be a whole lifetime. You know?
It is. It's a big difference.
Even if your legs are there, even if you feel good up here, it can be a completely different story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long day. Yeah. And 50 mile is still a long day, and it's not the same as doing a marathon. Just like a marathon isn't the same as doing a half marathon or a 10K, and understanding why you want to do something and what you want to do. Helps along the way, so you can have clarity in terms of what I need to do in order to be successful at this. And that's not about winning. Like that's not about being on the podium. That's just
that is,
like you said. How are you finishing it?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you healthy? Are you injured in your training because you ramped up too great, or what does it look like afterwards? It's not just getting there. It's so
not
much
just
more
getting it done, not just getting through it, but actually being able to.
Yeah, there's a difference between checking the box of getting through it and then what does it look like in the broad picture of things.
Yeah, because a lot of times, I mean, I made the mistake myself, that training for a race, I left my best effort 2-3 weeks before the race, I pushed too much and I left my best run, my best training run 2-3 weeks out, right? Before the race actually came. By the time I got to the race, I was just burnt out.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of heartbreaking, like, I felt so good, and I've been tapering, but it's just not allowing yourself to, I guess, just learn yourself, right? Like what it takes for you to recover.
Self-awareness is absolutely key.
Because if you're just pushing, by the time you get to the start line, it's a completely different story.
It is. It's a different game, and you can run that same distance. Yeah. And then race days it's just a different environment.
Yes.
We can all deny it and say, no, if you just treat it like it's a normal day. Yeah, well, good luck when you have all that energy of the start, race day. That's what you were hoping for.
Yes.
And then when you get there, all of a sudden the nerves and now all these things are happening that, I didn't expect that.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why, and that's tremendous amount of patience is required as a part of your planning, not just put in that mileage and just hammer away. It's doing it properly and having a lot of patience along the way to make sure that you're doing it healthy.
So yeah, I mean, it's a, I guess the way, another way to look at it is if you have a pool, right, like a 25 yard, you got to put a certain amount of water, right? But if you want to upgrade to a 50 yard, it's going to take a lot more water,
yeah,
right?
So yeah.
So you have to put a lot more into it, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to.
But you have to do it smartly, right? Exactly. You have to do it really smart. You can't just right. It's not just about long. It's not, for example, like, so I ended up getting a coach myself because I found that I wasn't closing the gaps in my training. I wasn't going any further. And I found a lot of it was because I wasn't training correctly. I wasn't training smartly. So came from this mentality of, well, if I just run faster and harder, then, well, of course I'm going to get better because I'm running faster and harder. Where the numbers showed that I was getting, in fact, slower.
Yes.
So when I worked with my coach and she slowed me down, I ended up getting stronger and faster in the long run just because I was training more focused on what I wanted to achieve.
Yes.
So the process was very well defined for me, which I ignored previously. So having that process very well defined and sticking to the process and trusting it was absolutely key. You just have to train smartly, not just hammer away on mileage, hammer away on speed. That's not what it's about.
Yeah, I think so. I guess a couple of mistakes, right? That I guess we can say that's one of them, right?
Oh yeah.
And for sure, I mean, I've done that myself. And the other thing that I've been working on and trying to communicate with people whenever they ask me, "Oh, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?" I mean, I'm not very experienced. I'm new to running. I mean, I've been running 5 years, if you can call that running. but. Again, this is and I say this every time we do a live because that is the whole point of us doing this. Just I can only speak from my own experiences, but there is a lot of information out there that sometimes people don't ask or feel shy, a little intimidated, and that's the whole point of having people like yourself that can share more info, more experiences, right? So. Yeah, the other thing I've been focusing on that I wasn't doing in the past is the recovery part, the recovery and the sleep, and that was, it's made such a big difference for me. Just focusing on that, not just because tomorrow I have to do 10 miles, no matter what, but did I sleep enough?
Right.
Did I have a long day at work? Am I heading out of the door, with a headache? And I gotta get it done. All these things that it's just bringing stress, right? So all this training wasn't paying off for me, no matter what, no matter how much I did and how hard and this and that, because all the other aspects of training I wasn't looking at, And a lot of times, like you were saying, having a coach yourself, a lot of times, we kind of need that, right? Just to kind of be able to get an outside perspective.
Absolutely. Because we have blinders on, right? It's very easy for us to justify our actions, whether it's getting out the door with a headache or you're feeling sick and saying, no, my schedule says I'm supposed to run 10 miles. So I have to do 10 miles regardless. Not understanding that, well, that can end up hurting you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, or I just don't want to. I don't want to get up today. It's windy, right? We're very poor at that. So having an external resource like a coach and the right type of coach, because not everyone needs the same type of coach. You need someone who's going to be able to help you specifically, who understands individualization.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Be able
that's
to
really important.
It is. It's absolutely key. And it's easy to fall into the trap of, well, I'm just going to stick to what the schedule says without really, and it's a sign of maturity.
Yes,
and that's
yes,
not age appropriate. That's just,
No,
how
just
much experience
the
do I have with
experience,
running?
exactly.
And
Yeah,
and understanding that from a perspective of self-awareness, that I knew I was becoming a more mature runner when I would go out the door and I would have that 10, 15-mile run, and I would get a mile into it and say, you know what? It's not today.
Not today. Exactly.
And that's got to be okay.
Exactly.
Like that just saying it's not the day today.
And it's such a eye-opener, right? Because it's a lot of times, ego plays a big part.
Oh,
right? So
yeah,
we're
absolutely.
And not necessarily that anybody cares or anybody's going to find out, like, whoa, they're going to see I didn't do my run. Like,
right.
no, nobody cares. Nobody cares. But it's just like,
it's internal, yeah,
right?
it's the ego.
So you're like, oh, no, like, man, But I think, maturity as far as, learning to adapt and, to accept all those things. Mm-hmm. And then after that, realizing, no, this is actually better.
That's right, yeah.
Than if I just go and, push something that is just not,
That's right.
Some people talk about junk miles, right? So I guess you can say, if you go push yourself and do junk miles, and the next day you're just eating everything in front of you, and sleepy and dragging to work and all day and all that,
what was the benefit? Exactly. Like, what did you really get from it?
That's you're actually setting yourself.
You're setting yourself back,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And it takes sometimes it takes an event or it takes an individual to help you understand that it's okay. Throwing an extra rest day in there. There's nothing wrong with it. Honestly, if one rest day is going to derail your training, you're probably not training right anyway. So things like that, and that comes with time, with experience, and mentorship, right? Relying on not necessarily like-minded people who are aligned with your values and what your goals are, and people who truly understand how to help you develop your very best.
Yes.
Which is different than a coach telling you what you need to do, right?
Exactly. So, So, like, a lot of times, we train with people, train with partners. I train with Tony. There's a couple of other friends that we train together with, and like-minded people that again, if we're feeling good that day, we feel good. How you feel? Yeah, everything okay. You guys want to do a couple extra miles?
Right.
We're good? Yeah, we're good. Okay, no problem. Okay. But at the same time, we can literally be in the car and be like, hey, you guys really want to go?
Is it today?
Nah, let's just go get breakfast. Okay,
right.
Let's go. No problem. No feeling hurts, like, oh, hey,
right.
Because a lot of times, we let pressure, right? Peer pressure just kind of like,
unfortunately for us, a lot of internal pressure too,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. So, you got two things dealing with, is your own ego, but also, you feel like, oh, well, I showed up and, they're here and, and maybe you're nurturing some twitch or some right? And then all of a sudden, that can turn into
now it's
something
something bigger that,
exactly.
the consequences are greater.
So, it's a lot to think about. But more than anything, it's self-assessment, right? Like, more than anything, just
constant self-assessment without it being something stressful. Just always do that quick reflection. Just okay.
Like, is this going to help? Is it not going to help? What's the point of this today? Right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's a lot of things to learn. So let's say, I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing this and this and this, all these things, and I think I maxed out, or I don't know. So at what point would you say I should start looking into coaching, or start thinking, okay, you know what, maybe it's time to get a coach, or maybe I should kind of start doing a little research and see what?
So I'm going to go back to that why and the what. So try to understand what your why and your what is. They're very important. Often you see a lot about just understand your why only, and then the what we'll figure out. But for runners, if we say we want to go from a 30K to a 50K, well, you've already defined your what.
Exactly.
Figure out kind of what the why is, though, behind it. What is it that you want to achieve? And then take a look at where you are. So if you're at a 30K distance, and that's a comfortable run for you, and you want to make that step up to a 50K or marathon, 50K, whatever the case is, take a look at what you've done in the past and reach out to your community. The community is an absolute wonderful thing. So there's running groups and there's coaches all over the place. Within the running group, you can always find people who know of a coach that's worth their weight. And I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but a coach that's worth their weight isn't going to say, you pay me $100 and I'll take a look at you, your training and what you want to accomplish. The right coach, in my opinion, for the one who would be the good mentor, is going to ask you a lot of questions. It's going to ask you about what your goals are, how much time can you dedicate, have you plateaued, and most of all, they're going to ask you, are you enjoying it?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying what you're doing, and what are you willing to do? Because that's a big part of it. Is when you're jumping from distance to distance to distance, you're increasing. You're not looking at just going for a 50-mile run one day. That's just not how it is. You don't wake up one day and just run 50 miles. It's not the race day, right? Because the race day is your 12-hour, 16-hour day, whatever the case is. You're talking months in advance of what it is you will need to do to be ready for that 12 to 16-hour day. And that's really important, to have someone who could kind of guide you through that and ask you a ton of questions. So if you don't have all of the answers, which is I think the best. It's not about having all the answers. It's are you asking yourself the right questions? And then if you're finding that there's a little bit of gray in your answers and you can't figure things out, that's usually a good indicator you want to seek
a little bit of outside assistance.
Exactly. And at some stage, it's one of those things that shut the computer down. Don't look at the internet. Stop Googling every single question. Start talking to people who know what they're doing. And because there's 50 million experts on Google, right?
Yes.
And they all say, and there's 50 million different things that they're going to say. There's this community in Southern California. We have so many people around here that we don't even realize that, I didn't realize you were a coach. I didn't realize you had access to a coach. I didn't realize you had a running group. And just by communicating what your interests are, could lead to some fantastic opportunities.
Yeah, because again, it's not about just getting through something, right? It's about having a good build-up, a good base, right? Something that you're gonna feel good about, not just at the end once you reach
check a box and never do that again.
Like, okay, I'm never doing that again. Which we all say, but then we know we're just saying.
Right.
All right. Okay. Well, let's switch. Let's switch a little bit of the conversation. So, real quick, we have a special treat, a special code for you guys that is gonna be active only for the first 4 people that Sean was nice enough to put together for us. So we're gonna tell you at the end. So hang tight. So another thing we want to talk about is about this brand new race coming up, right? So tell us a little bit.
The inaugural Santa Clarita Ultra and Trail Run in New Hall, which is just on the other side, on the
other side of the hill.
Side of the hill there, in Tallahassee Canyon. It's going to be on April 4th. That's a Saturday. The race was originally scheduled for October, but the recent fires that we had changed that. And the city of Santa Clarita has been extraordinarily supportive. And so that switched to April 4th. We were going to have a 50K, a 20K, and a 10K race options.
Oh, nice.
So they're all going to be all work, though. So understand, you're going to have to put your best effort forward. And I promise you, though, the views in Tallahassee Canyon are absolutely stunning, no matter what distance you choose. So it is an inaugural event. It's going to be put on by PCTR, Pacific Coast Trail Runs. They're out of Los Gatos, up near San Jose. They are expanding their race menu, if you will. Their event calendar, they have about 26 races in their calendar just for this year.
They're not new to this. It might be the first race down here, but they're not new by any means.
No. Greg and Jenny, husband and wife, they have created an unbelievable organization in a very short period of time with some fantastic race directors, volunteers, staff support up in Northern California. And they're just, I've been blessed with an experience of having some great race companies I've worked with, from Cura to New Global to Vacation Races, and Jenny and Greg have just made an absolute great organization. So bringing it down here to Santa Clarita for the first time, and in Towsley Canyon, where I personally train a lot for my ultras. So please come out. We do have a training run. The last training run for prior to race will be March 15th. That's a Sunday.
So it's a Sunday, okay.
And that's going to be at the East Canyon trailhead, which is just down the road, just south from the Towsley Canyon race park entrance. I'm going to have an aid station. I'll have fluid nutrition, which we're going to have on course, and I'll have some support from GU Energy as well. Nice. And the course will be flagged and mapped for everybody. This will be the third and the last training race, or excuse me, training run. For the prior to race.
And what distance is it going to be? The training.
This will be about 12 miles. You can go about 12 miles, or you can just turn around at any point that you wish to come back. Perfect. It's kind of a wishbone, so just know that at some point when you commit to running, you're going to have to come right back uphill. So there will be a point of no return.
Nice. Well, you know, that's the whole point, right?
That is the whole point.
So that you know what you're getting yourself
into.
Yeah,
exactly. So March 15th, we're going to have our last training run.
Nice. What time again?
7 o'clock at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. at the East Canyon. I'm going to have some giveaways, and I'm going to have I'm going to give away one free entry to the race. So if you join us, if you don't sign up tonight, I will raffle off one free entrance.
All right, that's awesome. Yeah. So why Santa Clarita? Why that area?
Santa Clarita, for those who maybe don't have enough experience with Santa Clarita is booming. It's just become it's just grown incredibly, and the city is devoted to expanding their trail network. They see that so many of their residents and people from the outside have really embraced the trails. Santa Clarita has just dumped a lot of resources in not only just maintaining but creating new trails in their system.
Interesting.
So this just happened to be a perfect opportunity that the city wanted to put on an event, and Greg and Jenny were ready to respond. So So other things are coming. The trail system is always expanding in Santa Clarita. Literally every couple of months, there's absolutely it's stunning. They can't keep up with how fast we're putting up new trails. Nice. And it's a great place, and the summers are quite hot. Makes you work differently than in the winter.
Which is great training.
Yeah, great training.
Great training grounds right there.
And there is not a lot of flat section, but you know, I myself, I love hills, so for me, it's perfect.
I mean, you got to do the uphill to enjoy.
You got to get. The only way to get the view is get to it. So
you got to work for the view.
So hope to see everybody out here on March 15th.
Okay, so March 15th, don't forget, it's a Sunday. It's a little bit different than the previous two, right?
Yeah, I had them on Saturdays, but this is going to be on a Sunday this time.
And that's just to help accommodate. Sometimes people work Saturday, or they have, soccer practice with the kids, or
just need to switch it up.
Right? Yeah. So. Which is great. That's awesome. Like, I myself work certain Saturdays I don't, and half the people I know are in the same boat. So that's great. And that's great that you're switching a little bit Sunday for those that can't make it on a Saturday.
And if you haven't run one of the races through a PCTR, please take a look at PacificCoastTrailRuns.com. They have put on such a consistent, wonderful show on every race day.
That is something I can vouch for. That was my second or third 50K was with them, and also my first 50 miler.
Skyline, right?
Yes.
Skyline?
Yes. Yeah. And my first 50 miler, and it was intimidating, right? Stepping up to the 50, but I knew, okay, these people, they do a great job, because I've done other races that, just the course alone was a big challenge, but then the support just wasn't there.
Right.
But
they care about the community. That's one thing about the organization. They care so much about the community and the experience that the race is going to give the participants. It's not just about jamming through, getting a medal. They really want it to be, and again, I guess we can go way back to the road experience, the difference between road and trail. A lot of the trail companies, Kira does it, PCTR does it, New Global does it, just from these local events here, that when you're done with your race, they don't expect you to get in your car and get out of there. They don't want you to get in your parking lot and just disappear. They want you to stay around and enjoy the community of people who are finishing and achieving the things that you may have achieved for the first time that race day, or that you've achieved in the past, and just be able to share stories and expand your own network. And Greg and Jenny have done a fantastic job of doing that. So it fits in real well with how things are gone here in Southern California. So it's kind of exciting.
You know what? That's something important because, absolutely. There are some races that you finish and they're like, okay, here's your medal, bye. Right. But a lot of the races that we tend to gravitate to in the company and the people, the race directors, a lot of them that we go with, if you notice, they're a friend, they're not just like, okay, just ring in the register and okay, bye, which unfortunately there are some like that out there, but I mean, for example, you mentioned Kira and PCTER, and it feels like a friendship, right? They see you, oh, you did this race.
It's the tribe, right?
You did that race. So they're like, oh, hey, And believe it or not, a lot of times, they know, okay, you stepped up distance this time, and they can't be any more excited about it than
There's a few companies. Again, we go back to Kira and Jerry and Jenny and Greg are the same way, that their business is the community. Their business is the runner, and they take care of that environment. Yes. So. Community is so important, and that's what they've created. So bring it down to Santa Clarita, and I think the training runs are important for that too, to kind of build that community feeling. They do a great job between bring the runners in, or even bring the volunteers in, and making sure that the volunteers feel like that they're a part of the success, because races don't happen without volunteers.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So on that note, so on that note, if you can't race the Santa Clarita Ultra, please reach out to me. Because I can always use you as a volunteer on that day to help. Keep in mind, all the races that you've been involved with, and the events and the experiences,
they all have volunteers.
They all have volunteers. They're a vital part to the success.
Vital, absolutely,
so ask anybody who's done Sean O'Brien.
Oh yeah.
You know that volunteers are essential for the success.
Volunteers saved my life. Because there was one point that I started cramping, and believe me, I'm still trying to find out the name of this guy at the 50-mile turnaround that gave me a good stretch and roll down. And after that, man, I was able to run
Sweet.
The last 7 miles, which I thought wasn't going to happen, but came back and
Good.
So if we need, if you can't do the race but you still want to participate, just like we do all the time, right? Be part of the experience in the community of the trail scene. Just reach out to Sean,
or you can go through Ultra Sign Up and just hit the volunteer button.
Volunteer, that's great. Anything else you want to mention?
No, I think we got that covered.
All right, so
we'll see you on the 15th, and then on April 4th, Saturday.
April 4th, and as we promised, Sean was nice enough to put a special code for those of you watching. So this is going to be good for the first 4.
So if you haven't signed up already, the first 4 who sign up tonight,
right after this,
and you use that code, you'll get 25% off.
So you're going to use this code. So it's going to be the first 4 people that sign up.
So if you don't see it, the first 4 beat you to it.
That means they're already taken.
So that's anytime live.
And this is good for
25% off.
25% off. So that'll give you some brunch afterwards.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I'll get you some extra room for the mimosas for those of you that enjoy mimosas after the race. Thank you so much, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you think that we should communicate with people? Anything that you can think of that we didn't touch on?
No, I think we touched on a lot. Just honestly, take care of each other, take care of the environment, and take care of yourselves. Okay?
Yes. Can't say enough. A lot of times it's not just training, but also the other side of it. How much are you sleeping? How much are you recovering? Are you doing the little things? That can be the biggest difference between getting to the start in good shape and in good spirits, and also to the
Finishing,
finish,
yeah.
to the finish, right? Because
A lot of little things means big things.
I've been there. I've been there when I'm at the start, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's see how this goes.
See how there it goes.
You know, I mean, you're already nervous as it is, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you already, you know, if it's something that you really are passionate about, you're always gonna have those butterflies. You know, you're always you're gonna be confident, right? Confident that you did all the little things, but you know, excited, right? The little
Butterflies
nerves,
are
you know,
good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Butterflies
yeah.
are good.
But you know, it's way different than having doubts or things in the back of your
Exactly,
head. Right?
yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see. Anything else, Tony, that you can think of? Do we have time for any questions anybody might have said or anything? How much time do we have left?
We have about 6 minutes left, so if anyone has any particular questions regarding coaching or the race coming up, please feel free.
All right. In the meantime, we can also talk about a couple other things. I guess going from road to trail. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made in the beginning was just trying to run everything. Because I was so used to road. Oh, I'm doing this minute miles, right? Like I'm doing this pace, right? I can do 5 miles, for example, 9-minute miles, right? And one of the biggest mistakes I made in the beginning was trying to translate that immediately to a trail. You know?
Yeah, and it's not you can't it's not an even. You just can't go to trail and think automatically I'm going to do 9-minute miles either if you're doing it on the road.
Yes.
And I think that level of self-awareness to say, okay, I need to walk is completely natural and it's expected. And it's without judgment, without saying that.
Which
it doesn't make
okay.
you. It's
the
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
People, they're like, oh, I want to go to a trail. I don't know. Like, come with me. Okay.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they see me walking. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's okay.
A lot of people
it's
will
actually
think, yeah,
better.
Yeah, but a lot of people will,
and
it's understandable that they think that okay, it's I'm walking. Am I not really running like a trail runner? Or am I not really, you know?
Pressure, yes.
It's that pressure needs to disappear, and it needs to be. There's nothing to even forgive. It's look. This is a part of trail running. Yeah. Walk it. It's okay. Not every hill needs to be conquered, and run up in an 8-minute, 9-minute, 10-minute pace.
Yes.
Sometimes if you have to walk, it helps you in the long run down the road of whatever distance you're doing, whether it's a 5 mile or whether it's a 20 mile a day. It doesn't matter. If you have to get a walk in during the run, get the walk in during the run.
Interesting. Okay, so Sean, so imagine this. I'm standing here on Tuesday and I am 4 or 5 days out from my next race.
What could that be?
Yeah, so again, a lot of people have been reaching out to us about LA Marathon. Some of them are doing it for the first time.
Right.
Some of them, they just never done LA for the first time. So if that's me standing here and I'm like, hey, Sean, man, I don't know, man, I'm a little nervous. What can you tell me for, the week of the race? Just a couple quick things.
Well, week of the race, you should be on taper, absolutely, right? You shouldn't be doing anything. Nobody should be logging 10-mile runs on race week, although there are.
What? Tomorrow? What are you talking about? Sorry, Diana. I can't go with you tomorrow to do those 10 miles.
I'd probably ask if you're healthy, other than the typical soreness. And then I would just say enjoy it and trust the process. Whatever the goal is that you set, you worked all the way up until this point. It's race day. There's nothing, or race week. There's nothing you can do this week that's going to help you close any gaps. Exactly. So there's no point in stressing over it. Enjoy it and trust the process that you had before this. So that way when you toe the line, that you're going to do the work that you're prepared for that day. Because it is work when you get there. Whether you're enjoying it or not, you have to do the work. It's still 26 miles. And it's going to require you an extraordinary amount of effort. It should be enjoyed, though, whether it's a road run, trail run, whatever the case is. But LA Marathon,
in this case,
you should enjoy it anyway. Trust your process, trust your training all the way up until race day, and let everything else go. Just be in the moment, be present with where you are, because you're gonna, you'll hit those points where you have a little bit of doubt potentially, and I hope you don't. And if you do, you will get through it. just stay focused on what the process was to get you to your goal.
Exactly. Yeah. I think anything other than your typical, I don't know, 3-5 mile loop that you do right outside of your door, it's, you know, the moment you put on a bib, sometimes you feel pressure, right? Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. But I think more than anything, for those of you that are doing it for the first time, just like Sean said, just enjoy it. You know, you already did all the training, you already did all the work. That was the work right there. The race itself, especially if it's your first one, especially LA, just, you know, that's the reward, right? For doing all the work. For me, LA it's probably more of a party, you know, like a big party, because you see people, familiar faces everywhere, every mile, and there's always something going on. So yeah, I don't take that one as serious, I guess you can say, but just kind of cruise it, enjoy it, you know, stay within my comfortable pace, at least until, specifically for LA, at least. Somebody messaged me today and said, "Oh, do you think I should start slow, fast?" And like, I normally just hang out until I get to San Vicente, the last 5 miles, San Vicente Boulevard, just to be specific to LA Marathon. Then after that, I kind of grind up the hill to 23, and then from there, once I feel the ocean breeze, I just cruise down the hill, you know. Once you can feel that ocean breeze at the top of the Mount 23, then you know, okay, yeah, I can crawl my way home.
Right?
Let's see. Do we have any other question, Tony? Any question?
Yeah, someone asked, what technique can you share for walking uphill fast or faster? This was by Alex Vega of Midnight Runners.
All right, Midnight Runners. Thank you for the question. So, quick tip.
So I've seen 3 different types of walking uphill fast. So there's a hands behind your back when you're walking. No, like that, just trudging along.
Okay.
Swinging arms and then using them just for momentum. It's a part of it. Right? It's a part of your tool. Just swing it, push it, and then depending on the severity of the hill, put your hands just above your knees, so right on your quads, and push off. But that's just really for really severe climbing. You're just grinding through.
Sometimes I like to imagine, that I have trekking poles.
Yeah.
And just do the same motion. You know?
Yeah, if you use trekking poles,
to kind of
it's different.
Zone out a little bit, you know, just to kind of zone out a little bit. Yeah.
And, well, for those who are using trekking poles, if you're using trekking poles, dig in. And my biggest suggestion is really just add a walking and a power hiking day into your schedule.
Yeah.
Just spend miles
Very
hiking,
important.
even if it's not like severe climbing. If it's just practice it. Practice the motions, okay, and just pound through it.
That's very important, because that way you can also find your comfortable spot, right? Because a lot of the times, and again in the beginning, that kind of happened to me. Anytime I'll go try to attack a long hill, the next day my lower back will kill me.
You have to. You got to practice it.
Yeah,
so that's my biggest recommendation: is just include it in your training.
Don't wait until
race day.
Yeah, for sure.
Put it in your training. Once every, depending on what your training looks like. I do a 3 and 1.
An easy day.
On a recovery day.
Recovery day. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. One more time. Here's the code.
Anytime.
There's 4 people to use this code. 25% off. Thank you so much, Sean.
Yeah,
Thank you for giving us
everybody
time. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you so much. We'll try to put this on YouTube for you. All right. Thank you. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Bye.